Hello, everyone, in the Purple Musical Singularity. I'm Richard Cole, and this is a special Amari Purple Talk going over my ranking of Prince's 21st century albums. If you're new to the channel or if you're a long-time listener, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also, become a Patreon supporter. I'm going to have some exclusive content up probably within the next few weeks or so. So be sure to become a supporter and get early access to that. And with that out of the way, I'm going to get started on Prince's 21st century albums. So the sort of the criteria for this ranking. Number one, it's going to be the replayability factor. Just over the years, how much have I gone back to a particular album, um, my enjoyment of it. Also, emotional resonance. So, what my memories regarding that particular album? Was it a good year? Was it a not so good year? Did that affect my listening enjoyment of a particular album? Albums that will be omitted from this ranking will be mostly the live albums, such as One Night Alone Live, Indigo Nights. C Note is an exception because that was recorded during a sound check, and it's kind of, to me, loosely a concept album of sorts. So that will be in the ranking. But like I said, One Night Alone Live, Indigo Nights, um, things like Ultimate Prince, that's omitted from this, even though it was released in 2006. Um, it's mostly greatest hits, and the greatest hits of the classic 80s era, some 90s. So that one will be omitted as well. Also omitted will be Plectrum Electrum, because that one I think was more credited to Third Eye Girl, so it was Prince and the band, and Prince isn't singing on every single track, so it's more of a band album than I would say a Prince album. So that one was omitted as well. So I might include it in another ranking. One final thing that was omitted, even though it was part of the Lotusflower and MPLSound 2 album set. This was a third disc, which was Elixir by Bria Valente. That one is also omitted because even though Prince produced that and probably played and sang on a lot of it, it's basically Bria's album. So that one will be omitted as well. So that out of the way, let's get started. So I'm going from the bottom all the way to the top. So, and being least favorite doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like the albums. Again, like I said, we'll go through the ranking and I'll kind of give some explanation as to, what I liked about it, what I don't like, and so on. So we're going to start with, this was sort of, let's see, this is actually number 16. And number 16 is Expectation. All right, so this was released on January the 1st of 2003, and it was released as an MP3 download. I think if you remember the MPG Club, I wasn't at that time. I didn't join until 2004. But I think you got, as a member, like an email with a link to the download or something. But it was never available on physical media. In fact, it still isn't available on physical media. But it was released again in 2004. Kind of that same week that Musicology was available. Quite a number of albums on this list dropped that same day. It was a good year to be part of the MPG Music Club at that time. I miss it, I hope they kind of bring it back because those were some fun days. But this is Expectation. like I said, this was originally as a download, so I put it onto a CD. This is not the original artwork for it. The actual artwork, when Prince made his catalog available to Tidal, there you see the official artwork. So hopefully, when this is eventually released on CD or vinyl, it'll have the original artwork. I forget how I got a hold of this. Beauty of the purple musical singularity is that you always have somebody around that's like, hey, got some artwork, got some tracks here. So you always find little fun stuff like this. So I downloaded this artwork for this project. Not really good to play in the car because the label part would probably melt, but play it on your home system, it still sounds pretty good. So anyway, but that's Expectation. The reason it was kind of at the bottom of the list is because it isn't an album that I don't go back to often. I love Madhouse, and there's a couple of things later on that are instrumental that I enjoy and actually go to more. But again, this is not a bad album. I really do like this one. I think it's more for, if you're having like a dinner party or something, or you just want to just mellow out. This is excellent background music for it. The musicians on this, Candy Dulfer on sax, John Blackwell on drums, Vanessa Mae on violin. Of course, you got Prince, you got Rhonda Smith on bass. Very nice material on it. But again, it's kind of more of an ambient thing as opposed to like you just want to get into the groove of something, whether it's slow or fast. So for this one, like I said, I don't go back to it as much. Maybe later I'll go back into it again, or if I can find a quiet time where I can really dive into it more, I'll do that. But anyway, that's Expectation, and that's number 16. So next is, we talked about this a second ago, C Note. Now, C Note was released in 2004. Although the tracks had been released separately around 2003 or before 2003. But this was, again, one of those, it was like about 6 albums that dropped the same week as Musicology, available through the MPG Music Club. And again, this one, it's instrumental material, I think, except for Empty Room, which is the last track on the record. Again, it's not one that I go back to often, but I say I've listened to it more than I have Expectation. And this was recorded during a soundtrack, Star Trek, during a sound check, during the One Night Alone tour, live tour. And I guess, based on the titles, you got Copenhagen, Nagoya, Osaka, Tokyo. This was recorded in Japan, obviously. To me, I think this is closer to a Madhouse record, I think, which is probably why I've listened to it more than I have Expectation. But it's really great to listen to again, if you're just kind of mellowing out, or having, kind of a, I don't know, maybe formal, semi-formal, just get together. And it's not necessarily where you want to just break out the beats all the time, but, just some nice, mellow music, just kind of relax and groove to. So, but like I said, I don't get to play it as much as the rest of the albums on this list. But here's C Note at number 15. And I hope that this is something that will get a physical release as well, whether on CD, vinyl. To me, something like this would make a great record store day release. Um, so State, if you're listening, this is probably a good idea. Put this on one of the record store day releases, or release it with whatever. And next we have, which is, you've heard me talk about this a lot on episodes of Amari Purple Talk. I always, kind of, you know, take the Mickey out of this one. But this is Planet Earth. And Planet Earth is actually my least favorite of his 21st century output. But here's the thing, I've played this more than I've played C Note, and I've played it more than I've played Expectation. Because again, it's not a bad album. It's just, I guess, the particular concept or some of the songs I have a hard time, resonating with. But there's stuff that I do enjoy, like Somewhere Here on Earth. It's probably my favorite jam on here. Guitar, it's a weird track for me because sometimes I love listening to it, and sometimes I don't like listening to it. Other songs, Chelsea Rogers, I like the groove of it, but there's fans that love the songs on this album. And, that's the beauty of music. It's subjective. What I like, you may not like. What you like, I may not like. And that's all good. It's there. And even Prince himself has said, hey, not everybody's going to buy every single album, but at least somebody's going to buy one. And while it's not my favorite, I still own it. And like I said, I do enjoy some of the songs on it. And every now and then I'll pull it out and listen to it and really try to get into it more. So I'll probably do that again with this one. So that is Planet Earth at number 14. And moving on to 13. Yeah, this is going to be tricky how to do this because it didn't come separately. But let's try to do this without breaking it. All right, so number 13 is MPLSound, which was part of this trilogy that was released. Let's see, when was this released? This was March 24th, 2009. I kind of remember buying this, I think, release day. At the time, it was exclusively available at Target. Actually, I bought this, I think, and if I'm not mistaken, the same week that the announcement was made that the Beatles were remastering their catalog. So this was like, cool, brand new Prince record. And then to get that bit of news also, that was pretty exciting as well. Where Lotusflower, which I'll get to in a minute, was more of a band collaboration. As far as, you had guitar players, drum players, bass players, Prince working with other people. MPLSound was different. It was recorded mostly as a dare. Terry Lewis from Jam and Lewis fame and the original time challenged Prince to say, hey, why don't you make a record on Pro Tools? So a lot of the material on this, I think, was more computerized than, say, the Lotusflower album. And I think, let's see. I still enjoy a lot of it. For me, I kind of lean more towards Lotusflower, but I do enjoy a lot of the songs on MPLSound. I put it on and I kind of let the whole thing play. I don't necessarily skip songs, but the stronger ones. Let's see. You're Gonna See Me. There'll Never Be Another Like Me. To me, that one I think would have worked as a Morris Day in the Time track. But like I said, I enjoy what's done with it here. Let's see, Valentina's good. Better with Time is one that I enjoy listening to. Old School Company to me is probably maybe the best track on this one. Let's see, keep showing Lotusflower here. Let's go back to. There we go. Go back to that. But yeah, I enjoy some of the songs on here. As far as his 21st century output, there are a lot of highs and a lot of lows as far as my listening enjoyment. But I felt chronologically, I remember picking this up and listening to it. I thought this was a pretty good step in the right direction. I mean, we'll talk about Musicology. We'll talk about 3121 in a minute. I think kind of for me with Planet Earth, it kind of started to fall a little flat. So for me, this particular album set to me was a step in the right direction. And I think for me, things were getting progressively more interesting when it came to new Prince product in the 21st century. So that is the Minneapolis Sound. Again, this is something I hope that they decide to reissue one day on vinyl, more so since I already have the CD. And if they reissue the CD, that might be good too, to give fans, if you don't have this in your collection, or newbies, beyond the hits, beyond the 80s, this will be a good recommendation to get this particular set. So now that is number 13. And for number 12, this is going to be a little, let's see if I can make this work here. All right. So this is one, it has been reissued, although it has not been reissued separately. But number 12 is the studio One Night Alone album. And this was originally released on May 14th of 2002. Here, let me grab that out. So this is available if you purchase the, what is this? The One Night Alone collection, otherwise known as the Up All Night collection, which comes with One Night Alone, which of the live album, which is not a part of this, which also includes a disc of an after show, and you also get the studio version of One Night Alone. What I enjoy about this album, as we were getting into, the 2000s, Prince has been free from Warner Brothers for a number of years and was putting out some very interesting things, in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And looks like the ball was still rolling, even as we were getting into the 2000s. So with sort of that newfound freedom, what I was enjoying was the fact that you weren't getting the same Prince album twice, and it wasn't falling back on the cliches of the 80s, where it wasn't retreading anything in particular. And given the type of talent that Prince is, to say, hey, okay, I'm going to do just a solo voice and piano album, cool, and then I'm going to do this instrumental album, then I'm going to come back, bring the funk, bring a little something commercial. So that was the joy, and I guess kind of the peak of the whole NPG Music Club era. And again, why they should bring it back, because you have that diversity, and you have that diversity that's available to everyone, for everyone. Instead of, oh, let's wait till we get this super deluxe, let's wait till they decide to reissue this record. It was all there. And what he was doing in 2004, making this all available, that was amazing. Amazing. You got, like I said, that week that Musicology was dropping, so you had the official album that you can get as the download, and I think it came out a week later in stores. But at the same time, on the MPG Music Club, you got a lot of, you know, interesting and diverse material. The One Night Alone, Chocolate Invasion, Slaughterhouse. Get to those in a little bit as well. But, you know, lots of great material. Great material. This is one that I found myself going back to a lot. Now, you've heard me mention with things like Expectation and C Note, where they're kind of like more background for, you know, just a get together of some sort. With this one, I find myself getting into it the way that I enjoy other albums, you know, regardless of whether they're fast or they're slow, whatever. But, you know, just to listen to Prince on the piano, you know, the songs, the subject matter of a lot of the songs. It's diverse as well. You know, you have love songs on here. You have some that are a little bit more political as well, but beautiful. You know, a studio recording of Joni Mitchell's "A Case of You." You know, for a lot of you in the Prince musical singularity, we've heard him do it in concert lots of times. And you have those versions available, whether officially released or on bootleg. But to have him actually do a studio version, and obviously it's a song that he loves because he keeps, playing it all the time. So to have a studio version of it is the appeal to have this in your collection. Like I said, I like a lot of them. The title track, One Night Alone, I like the cover, Case of You. Avalanche is pretty deep. I enjoy listening to that. But on a whole, this is another one where, I don't skip the songs, just pop it in the CD player and release it. You can get this on vinyl still. It may not be officially in print, but there are places, maybe used record store, somebody will still have it. I think Amazon maybe. This is one that I would like to have on vinyl. Been meaning to do that, haven't gotten around to it yet. But definitely I do want this on vinyl and can't wait to get it and listen to it. But the CD I do enjoy a lot. So, but if you want the CD, pick up the One Night Alone or Up All Night collection, and it'll be part of that. But the vinyl you can get separately. So that was number 12. All right, so 11, we come back to Lotusflower. So again, this was part of the Lotusflower, MPLSound, and the Bria Valente Elixir. The Elixir album, well, just briefly, I know some people love it. Some people struggle with it. I've been kind of one of the ones that struggle with it. I did enjoy some of the songs. The title track, I think, is the best out of the whole set. But this is one, again, where at some point I'll go back in and give it a listen and, maybe discover something new or, change my mind about it. But getting back to Lotusflower. Okay, there we go. So, Lotusflower. So this one, where I would say MPLSound was more like a party record. The beats were up tempo. You were having drum machines, the computers. He was using Pro Tools on that one. This one would be more like a rock album, or rock influenced. There are some ballads. There's a couple of funky tracks on there as well. But that kind of, Zeppelin-esque, that sort of 70-esque rock sound. Not too heavy, but, there's a cover of Crimson and Clover just to kind of give you an idea of the feel. So there's that, a little bit Hendrix vibe to a lot of the tracks. A little bit more political, like with Colonized Mind, Dreamer, which two of my favorite tracks on the album. This one, again, this is one I don't really skip the tracks. I just let the whole thing just go, and you got your peaks and valleys of each song. So I enjoy that about Lotusflower. Um, this was sort of a weird era because it was 2009. The MPG Music Club had disappeared, or Prince ended it, and he was creating a new website with this one, which really didn't take off. The membership fees were just ridiculous, and you didn't get as much stuff as you got when you had the MPG Music Club. But again, this was the thing that I picked up from Target as a Target exclusive. And again, both this MPLSound, just like I said, the letdown for me. Like I said, I know if you enjoy Planet Earth, cool, but for me, after that letdown of a record, then to me this was a step in the right direction for that. So I think you could still find copies of this somewhere, maybe Amazon or used record store. But again, to me, I think this is something that needs to be re-released, or for CD for the fans. For me, the vinyl for this one. So hopefully one day that will happen. So that's Lotusflower. Okay, and now we're getting into the top 10. All right, so at number 10, we have Prince, Hit and Run, Phase 1. This one, I don't know, I don't know if this was a polarizing release. This was originally released exclusively on Tidal, and that was on September 7th of 2015. And then practically a little bit more than a week later, on the 15th, was released on CD. I think for me, the first track release, it was the duet with Judith Hill, $1 Million Show. And I was kind of, but, there was, of course, I didn't know what was on the record at the time, but that was sort of the advanced track. And I was kind of like, okay, that's all right. But to me, one of the best songs of his 20th century output, which is Hard Rock Lover, is on this release. And that right there for me is worth the price of admission for this one. Shut It Down, Ain't About to Stop, I love those. The remix of This Could Be Us, I enjoy that. And that's one of those rare occurrences in Prince where he'll release a song twice and it'll sound slightly different than the other version. But for me, it's one of those deals where, okay, if I'm listening to this version, it's my favorite version. The version that's on Artificial Age, when I listen to that, then that's my favorite version. So, but definitely, Hard Rock Lover is, to me, the cut. Thousand Hugs and Kisses. June, I would say, is probably neck and neck with Hard Rock Lover as far as my favorite tracks, not only on this particular set, but of Prince songs, period. And especially his 21st century output. I mean, it's, we all wish he could have been able to continue, because I would have loved to have seen the evolution of what he would have come out with that would have been just as equal or better than Hard Rock Lover or June. But again, it's got a few low spots. But for me, the highs of this release outweigh the lows, so which is why it ranks so much higher. And it's just because of the strength of, like I said, Shut This Down. I love the bass on that. Hard Rock Lover. That is like 21st century westbound era funkadelic to me. Because some of it does kind of borrow riffs to me from Funkadelic's March to the Witch's Castle. So it's kind of reminiscent of that, but just more updated. Props to Joshua Welton on the modern production techniques used on this record for that. June is just deep, and I think that was the thing that where people kind of criticize older Prince is that yeah, there's songs and they're nice, they're enjoyable to listen to, and granted, I never personally expected him to go back to like, oh, let's bring out Dirty Mind again, just update it, but just his ability just to go just deep, you know, to where no artist can go before. June to me is that type of a record. I would say maybe some, reminders of Art of Noise in the choice of sounds, but again, it's something where if that was the influence, Prince definitely made it his own on that. So just those songs alone is why this sort of ranks higher, even though there are songs on here that I'm not too fond of as well. But Shut This Down, This Could Be Us, Ain't About to Stop, Hard Rock Lover, Mr. Nelson, Thousand Hugs and Kisses, June. Those songs to me are just so strong that I play it more than the items previously discussed on the list. So that is Prince, Hit and Run Phase 1. Okay, and then going to number 9. So number 9 is News by Prince, or some people consider it the next Madhouse album. And rightfully so. I mean, you do have Eric Leeds on the sax. You have Prince, obviously. I think Rhonda Smith's on bass. John Blackwell is on drums. And this was something kind of similar, maybe not to Madhouse, but the Flesh sessions from like '86, where you have them just freeform jamming. Each song is like 15 minutes in length, and just freeform jamming, and it has the concept north, south, east, west, or in this case, north, east, west, south. So, really heavy cosmic concepts going on with this one. But again, where I enjoy this more than the previous instrumental albums is because it does feel like a Madhouse album. And again, this is something you can either have as background music, or you just sit back and just get into the musicianship of it. And I think that's the thing. I enjoy the musicianship on this one. Not to say that the others are bad. Like I said, they're good too, and some I still enjoy playing, but this one I go back to more and more. And again, this was during, the height of the MPG Music Club. Let's see, I think was this one released on May 26, 2003. Yeah, so it was first MPG Music Club website exclusive, and then later it got the physical release. So, like I said, I didn't join till 2004. So I waited till this was released. Did I order it through the Music Club, or I can't even remember what, or Amazon in the early days? I may have ordered this, but like I said, physical copy for sure. Again, this is something I would be interested to hear on vinyl. Just like with the One Night Alone, I think that's something that I can't wait till that happens to where I can do a CD vinyl comparison on this, because I would love to hear how this would sound on vinyl. So that's News, 4 tracks, 15 minutes length each track, and it's sort of son of Madhouse. So definitely, if you could still find this in print, check it out. Otherwise, the state, could you re-release this and also re-release it on vinyl? That would be cool. All right, so moving on to Actually, number 8. Uh, uh, this one, because I don't have the single CD set, I bought the deluxe, which has the vinyl, it has the CD, also has the Blu-ray of the concert. So I just went and just got the deluxe set for this one. But number 8 is Welcome to America, which was released on July 30th, 2021. This was originally intended to have been released in 2010, but for reasons unknown, this never came out. Um, this one originally, it was a lot higher on the list because I've been wanting to do this episode for the better part of a year now. But this ranked a lot higher at the time when I was coming up with the episode. Since then, I have gone back to replay a lot of these records, and like I said, the list as it stands now is based on, again, playability or replayability factor. This one I enjoyed. I played a lot out of this. I've done a review of this on the show when it came out. I still enjoy this as a whole, and it did still make the top 10. Like I said, it did rank higher at first. But I haven't played it in a while. Again, not because it's bad, but sometimes your mood or your spirit or whatever, it moves you to, play a particular thing. You just want a certain type of frequency. And I'm sure I'll return to this frequency again at some point. But like I said, I do enjoy this album. Lots of great songs. I think for me, what is that song called? 10,000 Light Years Away? 1,000 Light Years from Here. So that song is one of my favorites on this track. Check the Record. That was another one. 1010. Yes, One Day We'll All Be Free. Running Game. Son of a Slave Master. So, I mean, there's lots of great, strong songs on this. And it does work as an album. Like I said, not sure why it didn't come out in 2010. Unfortunately, wish we could have gotten this under better circumstances. But like I said, this is probably the freshest of his 21st century material, as I don't think a lot of people got a chance to hear this one, or at least all of the tracks on this one. But by all means, pick this up. It is available on single CD. I think you can get the vinyl individually as well. But if you want the Blu-ray concert from Live at the Forum from 2011, by all means, check out that Blu-ray. So I would say if you want that, definitely pick this up. But like I said, again, if it's available on single vinyl, single CD, if you want to check it out, check it out. So Welcome to America is at number 8. And then let me put you back. All right, so number 7 is going to be Hit and Run Phase 2. So I had an opportunity to be a guest on the Purple Nights podcast with Chris Johnson. I was invited to talk about this album, and I think ironically, because I never owned a physical copy of this. This one, I think I, just listened to it on Apple Music. Made a MP3 copy for the CD. But that 2 years ago had the opportunity to talk about this record. And that same, I think the week before being asked or whatever, I just went ahead and got a physical copy of it. Because I think, I was always wanting to get one, but then April 21st, 2016 happened, and this was a hard one to, not because it wasn't available, but it was because this is the last physical media item released in his lifetime. So it was hard, but I just enjoyed listening. Every time I listened to this on streaming, I enjoyed the songs a lot. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just go ahead and just get it, complete the set. And I think it's a stronger album as Phase One, Hit and Run Phase One. Uh, Although I don't know, some of the the highs and lows, I don't know. To me, I think listen, looking at it now, I think it could have been sequenced a little bit better, or maybe different song choices here and there. But Stare, you had the official release of Extra Lovable, which originally was a track from way back in '82 that he just updated, put out as a single. I think what was that, like 2011, 2012, or something like that. But a lot of these songs were released earlier and just made the cut for this project. Um, but just the more organic sound, live musicians. Um, the songs again were kind of that moving things forward, where a Prince at this age, yeah, it's what he should sound like, not trying to retread the 80s. I was there, I was 15 when I got into, the Dirty Mind album and stuff. And, it was good for then, but, you know, this is still great. Um, Revelation, I think Revelation is about my favorite track on this one. But this is one that I've enjoyed. Used to wear my headphones, plug in the phone or Kindle or something and, put the headphones in, mow the yard. This was one that I used to play a lot doing that. Um, so that kind of where my enjoyment of this album grew. So the replayability factor, and it was just a feel good record. Even knowing that this was the last one, it's still a feel good record. A lot of good feel good songs, and again, a credit to the musicians that took part in this one. Phase one was nice. It's cool to have the computers. I mean, I deal with the computers, but it's nice to have people playing. Just to hear craftsmanship. And it's a good craftsmanship record for this one. This one I think you could still get, whether Amazon or your local record store. So this is one I would definitely recommend as well. If you want to go, if you're new to Prince and you want to go beyond the hits, the greatest hits or the classic albums, this is definitely one to check out. It's rough, like I said, knowing that this is the last one. It was released in real time, but definitely check it out. Like I said, for more detail on this, go to Purple Nights podcast and seek out this episode, and we go more in depth on what this album's all about. So definitely check that out. All right, so moving on, we've got 3121. So this was an album. It was released in March of 2006, March 21st to be exact. And this is one I think I got, day of release. And I enjoyed it. At first, I didn't enjoy it as much as Musicology, but over the years, sometimes revisiting the album myself, but definitely on the strength of a lot of people out there that listen to the show, that love this album. And through them, I was kind of able to go back like, yeah, you know what, this is a really great album, and it's definitely one of the strongest of the 21st century. Um, so, like I said, I enjoyed that. Really, the Te Amo Corazon, to me, that was one of the cases where the throwback works because you got the Claire Fisher stuff, and this was something that sounds like it definitely belonged. You know, you could put it on parade, and it wouldn't have been out of place. You know, or anything during the '80s, and it wouldn't have been out of place. Um, Black Sweat, just like Hard Rock Lover, to me, that is one of his 21st century classics, you know, that we should discuss just as much as we discuss Kiss or When Doves Cry or Purple Rain or whatever, you know, 1999. You know, they Black Sweat and Hard Rock Lover to me stands up to those tracks for sure. Um, you know, Lolita again, that could have gone to Morris Day and the Time. Um, Incense and Candles, Love was something I know when I first got it, played a lot out of those tracks. Um, the Dance, this is another one where this was recorded. Actually, it's on, I'll get to it a little later. But again, it's another one of those, one version, when I'm listening to it, it's the best version. Then when I put this one on, it's the best version of it. Like I said, it's a great album. I enjoy this one a lot. Like I said, more so, this is one that I've managed to get more and more into as the years had gone on. So um, this you can still get. This was like I think one of the first things Sony reissued back in what 2017, 2018 or so. So you can still get this one both on CD and vinyl. I don't have the vinyl to this, but who knows? Maybe one day I will, and I'll do a comparison on it. But that's 3121, and that was at number 6. Number 5 is 2010, and this was released on July 10th of 2010, but it was only released as a free. It came free with the Daily Mirror and Daily Record in the UK, and in I whoops, lost my notes. The UK and Ireland, and that was July 10th of 2010. It was also released on July 22nd with Rolling Stone Germany. And let me see, I'm going to butcher this. The Courrier International in France. So let's see. I think I got mine with I ordered the Belgium newspaper to get this. Um, it was just like, okay, I don't know what it was. I hadn't heard any of the songs on it, but just felt compelled to get this one. So I sent away for the German newspaper. Actually held on to that newspaper for a number of years. Once I moved, it got lost or something, but didn't lose the CD. But at the time that this was released, I think as far as his 21st century albums go, this at the time was my absolute favorite. Because again, I thought where you had Minneapolis Sound, Lotusflower, to me that was a progression. Then this to me was the next level beyond that. Again, nothing against the songs on that previous one, but I think for me these were more accessible. Sticky Like Glue, beginning endlessly. Beginning endlessly, even though I liked it when I heard it on this, seeing a clip on YouTube of him doing this live just made me like the song even more. So I enjoyed that. Compassion, throwback to the 80s with the Lynn drum machine. It's a good track. Same thing with Everybody Loves Me, that track too. Sea of Everything, good ballad on this one. Future Soul Song, another great ballad. The hidden track, Lay Down, that was funky. That was kind of in line to how things were sounding in 2010. So this is one that I hope gets a wide release, both on CD and on vinyl. There was a deluxe edition that was rumored to come out with it, but didn't see the light of day, just like Welcome to America. But hopefully, just like Welcome to America, maybe one day we'll see that deluxe edition. So this is 2010. So like I said, this one, you may be hard pressed to try to find this one, and if you do, it may cost a pretty penny depending on who's selling it. But like I said, I was lucky to order it, when it was released. Had to send away for the German newspaper to get it, but got it. This has never left my collection, and I enjoy it a lot. So, like I said, hopefully one day this will get a wider release. So 2010 at number 5. And then number 4, we've got Musicology. Do, 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 do. And I don't know, haven't gone too much into memories, but God, 2004. Whew. There was the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was all over the place. The Tonight Show and World Tour, National Tour, Comeback Tour, whatever you want to call it. This was the game changer. Everything that he was talking about in the 90s. Even though he was kind of doing it then, certain things like with Versace Experience, giving away stuff, samplers at the shows, but to do the full album as built into the ticket price, so you got to, not only you got to go see a concert, you got a free record for showing up. And that was cool. That was a game changer because, years later, you see artists that, I've seen them where, you get the show and then they're pressing the CDs right there. Like, hey, you want to, memory of the tour, buy the CD, live CD, right there. And they're pressing them right there, on the side of the stage. And it's like, Prince was the game changer with that. And, while you had to deal with all this conceptual stuff like in the Expectation, News, Rainbow Children, One Night Alone, there was nothing like just having a good, and not, old fashioned is not the right word for it, but just to have an album to where you had hits and singles and stuff on the radio and stuff on the video rotation. It was good to kind of come back to that and revisit that, and granted, he did it his way. He did it on his terms. This was a deal made with Sony. It was a one-off deal, but he got to keep the master. And, he got to promote the album his way. Sony got to promote it their way. And it was a top 10 album, had some hits. Call My Name. It's another great ballad. Won a Grammy. But it was just like a breath of fresh air. There's some songs brought back the Lynn drum machine. It was just again, just to me, a feel good record. And along with a lot of the stuff that was released with it, which I'll get to in a second, Slaughterhouse, Chocolate Invasion, some of the sort of what I call virtual B-sides like Magnificent and Glass Cutter. This was this to me was as equally an exciting time as being, in 1984 with Purple Rain, or 82 with 1999 and the Times, What Time Is It? Even some of the symbol stuff from like 93 to 95, this from 2004 to me stands up, and I enjoy this era. I got to go to the Musicology show, and that was a nice concert. Excellent. Hopefully they'll do some kind of special release with that and put one of those as a Blu-ray with it. But you can get this still. This was reissued along with 3121. I think was it 2017, 2018, and you can get it on vinyl as well. So definitely, check this out again. If you're brand new and you came through with Purple Rain or the hits or whatever your gateway was, and you kind of want to go beyond the classic stuff or the obvious stuff, check this out. Go check this one out. This is a pretty good one. But for me, yeah, it sits at number 4. And actually, number 3, it's sort of a tie because they were released the same day. They're a collection of songs that have been circulating around the MPG Music Club. But in 2004, they were compiled into these 2 collections, the Chocolate Invasion and the Slaughterhouse. It's a tie because to me, it's almost like Volume 1, Volume 2, or it just could have been just like a 2-disc set of the same record. But the material, like I said, just coming, there's the buzz of Musicology, but as an MPG Music Club member, these would drop like I think same day, and shoot, I think my wallet took a beating downloading all of those tracks and converting them to disc. And again, this was the same source for the artwork, like his Expectation and the C Note. So not the actual official artwork, but I think pretty close. And pretty good job. And again, didn't recommend playing this in the car per se, but like I said, you play it on your home system, it's just as good. So hopefully these will see a reissue or a physical media release, both CD and vinyl. But the reason why, like I said, it's a tie because I think I played these songs interchangeably. Also made like a little playlist with some of the stuff from Musicology, some of the virtual B-sides, some of this material from here as well. And like I said, I still go back to listening to these every now and then. Judas Smile, Super Cute, Underneath the Cream, You Make My Sunshine, that's just Chocolate Invasion. Then Silicone, Why Should I Do That When I Can Do This? Oh, forgot about When I Lay My Hands on You from Chocolate Invasion. Again, another 21st century Prince classic. And I mean, the guitar playing is the best on this one. Let's see, Golden Parachute. Like, this to me, I think a little more on the, I hate to say experimental side, but it was just stuff that was just kind of a little bit to the left, but it still had groove to it, or it was something that was done with the drum machines or the drum programming or the choice of synthesizers along with the musicianship with this. But then you also had some like real band stuff like Northside and Peace. I think 2045 Radical Man. I think that one was sort of done with live musicians as well. But yeah, I mean, these still hold up from 2004. Like I said, I always go back to them, and always, again, just music that just brings you joy. Can't go wrong with these. So, like I said, all of this stuff you can listen to on streaming. But I'm just saying it would be nice to have official CD releases of those. Vinyl reissue or vinyl releases as well. So, yeah, but again, if you're new to the Prince world, definitely check these out as well. Once you go beyond the classic stuff and the hits, I cover a lot of the classic stuff, but for sure, definitely, because what I'm trying to do here is really talk about the totality of his work. Unfortunately, we don't have him here in real time to bring us something new constantly. So we have the official stuff left and lots of stuff in that vault that's left. And, it's just time to celebrate the whole. Like I said, on this show, I've gone over a lot of memories from the 80s and the 90s. But that doesn't make any of this stuff less interesting. So, and hence why I'm doing this episode. This is some great material and it deserves some shine on here. So now we're going to move on to number 2. And that is the Rainbow Children. Now, I know this was it's a polarizing record for some. Because of whatever, sort of the overt religious tones to it. A lot of people were reading, because of that, they were reading misogyny. They were reading reverse racism. They were reading all kind of crazy stuff into it. And again, music is subjective. What you enjoy, I might enjoy. What I might enjoy, you might not enjoy. But it's all subjective. And I don't think I didn't struggle with this release. I think for me, the annoying thing was the slow down voice. The whole, and the Rainbow Children, and they did the Digital Garden. That to me was a little bit overkill for it. I mean, I get why it's there. Adds to the concept of the record. But me personally, I could have done without that part. But beyond that, I mean, the music, because again, this is musicianship. And to me, this is what at the time, 40-something-year-old Prince should be sounding like, and not trying to sing Sister and Head and all this other stuff. As funky as those songs, as funky as Head is, and, not taken away from it, because actually that was the song that made me the Prince fan when I was listening to the Dirty Mind album. I mean, I was already like, okay, the guy's cool from the other stuff like Dirty Mind, the New Wave, the Beatles thing, When You Were Mine, like Do It All Night, Broken Heart Again, and I liked Uptown as a record. But I think what nailed it was the song Head on that. But, that was 20-something-year-old Prince. This is 40-something-year-old Prince. And, an artist has to grow. And an artist has to evolve. And an artist has to take risks. And this was a huge risk. I think really what kept this from being a bigger deal. Not that this would have helped it sell or anything like that. But I think had this been, or had he figured out a way to make the kind of deals that he made with Musicology, or that he made with 3121, this would have gotten so much attention off the controversy. I think it would have sold pretty well. I think it would have. But the fact that this was done independently, and again, this is an artist taking risks, and a huge artist taking risks at that. But the musicianship and some of the songs, I mean, some really nice, whether it's funky, whether it's rock, whether it's something mellow, whether it's something deep, it's all here. It goes, it's like 70s Miles Davis in 1 minute to, new, neo soul the next minute. And then you got Prince being Prince, then you got, some of the sort of the James Brown type stuff, the 1 + 1 + 1 is 3, the Work Part 1. There was something for everybody. And then Family Name, Everlasting Now, Last December. Those things just rock. Just straight rock. But like I said, once you do get past some of the over the top tones, the philosophical tones, the religious tones, it's a damn good record to listen to, and it it has managed to find its way in that playability factor, and which is why I got to number two. Just buying this is a reissue. Used to have the original CD, but just getting the reissue, and then later getting the vinyl, which I'm going to do a CD versus vinyl comparison soon. Be the next episode after this one. But yeah, it would have been close to being number one for me. But like I said, I think because of the whole Rainbow Children and the Digital Garden and the Banished Ones and all this other stuff, that kind of it takes me out of the mood of the record. When you hear it at first, it's like, okay, well, I get it. But then when it keeps going throughout the record, then it's like, okay, that's enough. Okay, I'm good. And like I said, kind of once you get past some of the, heavy, sort of Bible thumping stuff, it's a really good record to listen to. And I enjoy it. Like I said, I don't skip anything on it or anything. I love listening to it. Like I said, do the CD versus vinyl comparison on it soon. But at number two, the Rainbow Children. So this one you can get, again, vinyl, CD. It's out there. So by all means, check it out. Give it a listen. And now we're at number one. And for listeners of Amari Purple Talk, this might have been an obvious number one. Or maybe not. Who knows? But at number one is Artificial Age. And from the time that this was released, which was September 26th of 2014, this was, for me, a highly anticipated record because this was the year that he got ownership of his master recordings. He did a negotiation with Warner Brothers, and in getting those master recordings back of the classic 80s material, the deal was he was going to drop this album and Plectrum and Lectrum. They both dropped the same day, bought both same day. And this was the most anticipated, especially because I think Clouds was the lead off single. And so when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, I think this is what I had been waiting the entire, up till now, 21st century for Prince to sound like. For this, like I said, everything was cool. Everything that we've talked about was cool. Like I said, I enjoy playing these. Like I said, the order that they're in, like I said, either good memories of listening to the album as a whole or certain songs, or just the going back, playing them again and enjoying it. But where I was saying earlier that Lotusflower, that was sort of a progression. To me, an improvement on Planet Earth for sure. And even a little bit of an improvement on 3121 and Musicology, because the goal wasn't to be so commercial as those two albums were. So as concepts, or just making an album and not worried about what the current sound is or who he's competing with this year. But when I heard Clouds on this, I think it was like, oh, he got it now. He knows how to take the now and make it his own, and you have that nice healthy balance where you get the Prince of old, but you still get something new. And when this album dropped, um, that's exactly what you got. Like I said, Clouds. I think the breakdown was something else that was sort of leaked prior to the release of this album. Um, and again, to me, it was sort of breakdown was sort of Purple Rain esque enough. Again, it could have gone on that record, but it fit today. It fit modern times. The Gold Standard, to me, that could have gone on the Black Album. That could have gone on Love Sexy. Just with that one, was okay. Prince is being modern. It worked. That track worked, and I think if there was more of a promotional push to this, I think something like Clouds, something like should have been number one hits, or top five if nothing else. But the album works as a whole. It loosely works as a concept. It's a little creepy to listen to now, because of Clouds. With the Mr. Nelson, you've been in suspended animation because of the drug we've given you. Then the talk about the afterlife, to where the suite of what it feels like through Way Back Home, through Time, and then the affirmations, in the segues. It's a little heavy to listen to now, and I kind of like to think of this as, it's sad to say, I kind of think of this more so as the last album, as opposed to Hit and Run Phase 2, where Hit and Run Phase 2 physically is the last album. This, again, sadly to say, this is his Black Star. But this wasn't the case. Where with Bowie, he knew the days were numbered, and that was his goodbye to his fans. With Black Star. This, I think, subconsciously could have been it, because he was celebrating that he got his masters back. No telling what he would have done with them afterwards. But this is, to me, is the last album. But it's just so good. I think the songs resonate better than Hit and Run Phase 1. These all belong, like they all belong on the album, even though, like I said, you had Gold Standard. Like I said, that could have gone on Love Sexy or the Black Album. Breakdown could have gone on Purple Rain. But there's a balance, because it's with the celebration of getting the masters back, and then you see the photo with the platinum Purple Rain discs in the background. You have that, and it's like, to me, I think this was the balance, and I think this, beyond the Phase 1 and the Phase 2, again, it would have been interesting to see where he would have gone next. Having that balance of the live musicianship, the technology of the day, the sounds of today. Like I said, this is just an amazing album for me to listen to. I enjoy it. I replay the heck out of this. It's a little worn because when I got it, because at the time I had a car that had a CD player and didn't have time to make a dub, so it was like, this got considerable amount of airplay in the ride. But I hope they reissue this. I think it might be harder to find on CD now, but I would love to have this on vinyl for sure. And just have another reissued CD of it too, as well. But definitely, this is my number one Prince album of the 21st century. So, what was your favorite Prince album or Prince albums of the 21st century. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that is going to end this episode of Amari Purple Talk. Again, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Podcast episodes will be coming back to a podcast platform near you. And also become a Patreon supporter. Going to have some exclusive content coming soon there as well. But thanks for checking this one out. And until then, create your day and create your life. Peace.